Andrea Kimi Antonelli is one of the most exciting young prospects in motor racing after his successful junior career under a promotion to Formula 1 with the Mercedes at the age of 18. He and his teammate George Russell complete the all-Mercedes junior team graduate lineup in Formula 1. So today, I'm looking at I'll be listing these drivers in chronological order from when they joined the program, so starting off with the first driver introduced to the modern day Mercedes junior team, Pascal Wehrlein. Anyone following F1 back in the early 2010s knew about the hype surrounding Wehrlein, especially after he joined Mercedes as a reserve driver in 2014. During Wehrlein's junior career, he won the ADAC 4-Male Masters Championship and then followed that up by finishing as runner-up in the Formula 3 Euro Series, being beaten by another hyped young driver, Daniel Hunkadeya. Pascal followed this up with a couple more strong campaigns and single-seater championships before making the transition over to DTM, and that transition was very successful. Wehrlein became the youngest ever DTM champion, aged only 21. This was good enough to earn Pascal a switch back over to single-seaters, but this time in Formula 1. The only problem was that it was the slowest car ever seen with Manor Racing. He scored a point in Austria, but other than that, it was a very difficult season. Wehrlein switched over to Sauber in 2017, where his poor F1 luck continued by joining the worst team again. He had an impressive year, beating his teammate Marcus Ericsson in an absolute tractor, but Pascal found himself out of a seat by the end of the year after being replaced by the promising and very talented Charles Leclerc at Sauber, following the Monegasque's debut year F2 championship title. There were rumours that Pascal could head to Mercedes at several points in his career to replace either the retired Nico Rosberg for 2017 or Valtteri Bottas in 2018, but neither of these moves came to fruition. Wehrlein did head back to the German outfit in 2018 as test and reserve driver, as well as competing back in DTM again that year, but he and Mercedes parted ways after that year and hasn't returned to DTM since. Ferrari signed up Pascal to be the F1 test and reserve driver in 2019, but they parted ways as well after that season. Importantly though, the German driver competed in his first season of Formula E that year for Mahindra Racing, and since then he's accomplished some pretty impressive things in the sport to say the least. Wehrlein has achieved 7 wins in 84 races in FE, as well as the World Drivers' Championship last year for Porsche. He also recently competed in the 24 Hours of Daytona, finishing 6th. The second driver that was added to the programme was Esteban Ocon. The Frenchman joined in 2015 after he had just won the Formula 3 European Championship, where he famously beat Max Verstappen to the title. But not just the 4-time F1 World Champion, Ocon also faced fierce competition from the likes of Antonio Giovinazzi, Jake Dennis, Tom Blomqvist, Antonio Fuoco, Felix Rosenqvist, Roy Nissany, Sean Galal, Santino Ferrucci and Nicholas Latifi. Ocon followed this feat up by winning the GP3 title in 2015 and then 10 races for Mercedes and DTM in 2016 before being called up to F1 mid-season to replace Rio Haryanto in the lightning-quick Manor Racing car alongside Pascal Wehrlein. Now, if you're wondering that this was a questionable decision to throw Ocon into that tractor with his lack of F1 experience, well, you're quite frankly wrong. Esteban by that time had driven a Lotus, Ferrari, Force India, Mercedes and Renault F1 car all before his race debut. After his short impressive stint, he went to Force India, where he was definitely not involved in teammate controversy. After his 2 seasons there, the Frenchman was replaced by Lance Stroll. This left Ocon without a race seat for 2019, so he was forced to sit the season out and serve as a reserve driver for Mercedes. But after patiently waiting, Esteban signed for Renault in 2020 and remained at the Enstone team until 2024. He somehow managed to achieve a race win in Hungary after Valtteri Bottas and Lance Stroll decided to play bowling into the first corner. Ocon also achieved 4 podiums with the French team and is now at Haas in F1. Now, most people thought his affiliation with Mercedes ended after he signed for Renault, as, well, that team doesn't really have anything to do with the German outfit, unlike Force India, who had Mercedes power units in their cars. Well, after Lewis Hamilton announced his exit from Mercedes in early 2024, 27-year-old Esteban Ocon started to mention how he's still a Mercedes junior driver. Yes, that's right, Ocon, who is 10 years older than Antonelli, is still apparently a Mercedes junior driver. I mean, what? The next driver signed is current Mercedes F1 driver, George Russell. The British driver, famous for being British, already had a pretty decorated CV by the time Mercedes decided to snatch him up. Russell won the BRDC Formula 4 Championship in 2014 and finished 3rd in the Formula 3 European Championship in 2016. After that, George went on to achieve greatness by winning GP3 in 2017 in what was his rookie season, and then followed that up by famously winning Formula 2 in his rookie season again in 2018. Generational drives. He was then rewarded for these efforts by getting a drive in F1 the next year in one of the worst cars of all time. I'm starting to notice a similar pattern here. George raced for Williams, emphasis on raced, for 3 years before Toto Wolff decided that was enough torture and promoted him to the main Mercedes team to replace the outgoing Valtteri Bottas. Russell has just entered his 4th season with the Silver Arrows and has picked up 3 wins, 14 podiums and 5 poles along the way, which is pretty impressive considering the state of that car these days. In 2019, Mercedes added 3 new young drivers to their junior team, and the first one I'll be talking about is Andrea Kimi Antonelli. The Italian driver currently partners George Russell at the Mercedes F1 team after having a pretty short and accelerated junior career. I mean, the guy is still in school and he's racing in F1. That's how fast he shot up the racing ladder. Antonelli started his single-seaters career in only 2021, 4 years ago, after basically kind of just winning everything in karting. He made cameo appearances across multiple championships that year, including the second half of the season stint in Italian F4, where Kimi scored 3 podiums and managed to finish 10th. But 2022 was the big year for him, as Kimi made his full debut in single-seaters, taking part in a few championships. Kimi managed to win the Italian F4 Championship and the ADAC Formula 4 Championship in the same year. Generational. In 2023, he moved up to Formula Regionals and managed to win the Formula Regional Middle East Championship during the off-season. And then, of course, Kimi went on to win Freccia as well later on that year. Generational. In 2024, Antonelli made the biggest step up to Formula 2 from Formula Regional, which is an unusual path. Kimi won 2 races, achieved 3 podiums, and beat his teammate Ollie Behrman on his way to 6th in the championship, which was finally enough to earn him his ultimate promotion to Formula 1, replacing the outgoing Lewis Hamilton. Just the small shoes to fill. Generational. One of the other drivers that was signed up to the Mercedes junior team in 2019 was Paul Aron. Many of you will be familiar with the name, as he is the current Alpine reserve driver, which doesn't really narrow anything down, but you get my point. Aron made his full single-seaters debut in 2019 as well, where, like Antonelli, he took part in Italian F4 and the ADAC Formula 4 Championship too. Unfortunately for Paul, he couldn't quite replicate Antonelli's feat, as he only finished 3rd and 7th respectively, which is still pretty impressive. The Estonian then moved up to Formula Regional in 2020 and competed in Formula Renault Euro Cup, where he finished 11th. Then in 2021, Paul took part in another season of Formula Regional, this time in the newly formed Freccia Championship with Prema. He finished 3rd this time with 2 wins to his name. Interestingly, Aron decided to do another year of Freccia in 2022, where yet again he finished 3rd. Paul moved up to Formula 3 in 2023 after deciding that it was enough Formula Regional for one day. He won a race and achieved 4 podiums that year on his way to, yes, you guessed it, 3rd in the championship. Ahead of 2024, Mercedes and Aron parted ways, as it appeared obvious that the German outfit were putting all their eggs on their new superstar, Kimi Antonelli. So in 2024, Aron progressed up to F2, where he started the year on fire and even led the championship for a decent amount of time. Was this finally the year where Aron was going to break the 3rd place curse? Nope. Yet again, Aron finished 3rd in the championship. He did make 2 appearances in Formula E though, subbing in for Sebastian Buemi at Envision Racing during the Berlin E pre-round, where he finished outside the points. At the end of the year, Alpine signed up Paul to be their reserve driver. He took part in the end-of-season test with the French team and currently sits alongside Franco Colapinto, Kush Maini and Ryo Hirokawa as test and reserve drivers. And the final driver signed up to the Mercedes junior team in 2019 was Alex Powell, the driver who is least known to the average racing fan out of this trio. Powell joined Mercedes when he was still in karting. In fact, Alex only made his full-time single-seaters debut last year in Formula 4 UAE, Italian F4 and Euro F4 Championship. He finished 6th, 5th and 9th respectively and picked up 2 wins across these championships. Impressively though, Powell was the highest placed rookie in Italian F4, which does demonstrate his talent. The Jamaican driver took part in the Formula 4 Middle East Championship over the recent off-season and finished as runner-up with 5 wins. Powell is certainly a driver to keep tabs on over the coming years. The next driver is Yuanpu Cui. The Chinese driver joined Mercedes in 2021 whilst he too was still in karting. Cui's karting performances were good, but it must be said that they're not exactly filled with many wins. He made the move up to single-seaters in 2024, taking part in F4 UAE, British F4 and Chinese F4. Cui won a race in British F4 and finished in 9th, which does mean he was the 2nd highest rookie. In Chinese F4, he took part in 1 round where he impressively won 2 races out of the 4 available, and this year Cui will move up to GB3 where he'll look to make an impact this season. Now it'll be Frederik Vesti. The Danish driver joined the junior team in 2021 after some pretty strong performances in single-seaters over the years. During karting, Vesti pretty much won everything in Denmark and made the step up to single-seaters in 2016 where he finished 4th in Formula Ford Denmark. Fred then went 1 step up and did Danish F4 in 2017 where he finished as runner-up, as well as competing in ADAC F4 where he finished 7th. Vesti did that championship again the following year in 2018 and improved up to 4th in the standings. In 2019, the Danish driver stepped up to the Formula Regional Championship with Prema and absolutely dominated the championship, taking home 13 wins, 10 poles and 20 podiums. That is absolutely generational until you realise that only 7 drivers took part full time that season. Still, regardless, quality from Vesti. After this success, he went up to F3 with Prema in 2020 and had a strong debut season, finishing 4th with 3 wins. Many drivers after that performance would move up to F2, but Vesti remained in F3 again for 2021. This time, however, with ART, and he had a repeat of the previous season as Fred finished 4th again. He finally stepped up to F2 in 2022 with ART and had a strong debut season where he finished 9th with a single win to his name. Vesti moved over to Prema for 2023 and made a huge jump in the standings, going up to 2nd and giving a strong title challenge to Théo Pourchaire. He was rumoured for the Williams F1 seat to replace the lacklustre Logan Sargent for 2024. However, nothing ever came of this. Instead, Fred became the Mercedes F1 reserve driver and also switched over to endurance racing and sports cars. I may as well copy and paste that last sentence, as that's exactly what Vesti's doing again this year in 2025 as he continues with Mercedes. The next driver signed up to the programme was Daniel Guinchard. Most of you probably wouldn't have heard of this guy, as he spent just 1 year as a Mercedes junior in 2022. Guinchard won quite a fair amount in karting and made the move up to single-seaters in British F4 for 2022. He had a decent season, finishing in 9th, the second highest rookie behind Ugo Chukwu. Daniel stayed in British F4 for his second season in 2023, but after some decent results, he had to pull out due to a lack of funding. So in 2024, he had to go back to karting due to his lack of funds. Now in 2025, Guinchard has gone back to single-seaters, but this time in GB4, where he looks to revive his junior career. In 2022, Mercedes made history as they signed their first woman to the junior team, Luna Fluxa. The Spanish driver joined when she was just 11 years old and is currently still racing in karts. She's shown strong pace all throughout her karting career so far and has won the OK Senior title in the Champions of the Future Academy programme. You may recognise the Fluxa surname, as Luna has 2 older brothers who are also in motorsport at the moment. Last year, Fluxa joined the Iron Dams programme to further help her development alongside the Mercedes junior team. The next junior driver is Kenzo Craigie. Another young driver still in karting, Kenzo is an exciting prospect who joined Mercedes when he was 12 years old. The British driver has had much success so far in karting, as he's already achieved many wins and championships so far. He'll be stepping up to the OK Senior level in 2025. The next driver is Doriane Pin. The French driver is one of the most exciting young women in motorsport to watch at the moment. Pin joined Mercedes in 2024 as she looked to take part in her debut season of F1 Academy, where she managed to finish as runner-up while suffering from broken ribs. Doriane made the move up from karting in 2020, and since then she's raced in pretty much everything. She originally started racing in just sports cars, achieving strong success in those categories before taking part in the Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship at the end of 2023, where she finished as runner-up and top rookie. Pin then took part in a plethora of championships in 2024, including F1 Academy, F4 UAE, FRECA, IMSA and WEC, with strong success being accomplished across those. Now she goes into 2025, Doriane will be competing in FRECA and F1 Academy with Prema. Now I'm moving on to James Anagnostiadis, another karting driver born in 2010. The Australian driver recently joined Mercedes last year. He won pretty much everything in Australia, so last year he moved over to Europe to have a go at the competition over here. He had a strong year, finishing as vice champion at the FIA Karting World Championships. This year, James will look to compete in OK Junior and Junior Rotax categories. Mercedes also recently recruited Andy Consani to their junior ranks too. The French driver is about to start his first year in single-seaters in French F4 after some strong years in karting. He comes from a strong racing family, so this should help him achieve success this year. The next driver is a highly rated one already in Ethan Jeff Hall. I previously mentioned Ethan in my 2025 Junior Drivers to Watch video, as he looks to make his single-seater debut campaign in British F4. He won basically everything at karting level, fending off challenges from other top drivers, so he's for sure a top talent at the moment. Moving on to the recently signed drivers in 2025, starting off with Rashid Al Dhaheri. The Emirati driver moved up to single-seaters in 2023, where he competed in Italian F4, finishing 10th. He then returned to the series in 2024 and finished 10th again. As well as that, Rashid took part in F4 UAE, finishing 4th. He now looks to compete in FRECA and GB3 this year after a 6th place finish in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship over the winter season. Next up is Julia Montlaur. The French driver was born in 2013, which is just wow. If that doesn't make some of you feel old, then I don't know what will. Julia was a year old when Pascal Wehrlein joined the Mercedes junior team. Anyway, she's currently in karting and taking part in the OK Junior category in 2025 after a few years of solid performances in French championships. Now on to the penultimate driver with Meni Nuvolini. The youngest driver on this list, Meni too was born in 2013. He's already won several karting championships, demonstrating he's a top talent. He's currently dominating the karting scene in France and across Europe. Now the final Mercedes junior team member, and this one many of you may recognise as he's currently taking part in F3 this year, it's Noah Stromsted. The Danish driver has had a strong career so far after joining single-seaters in 2021. Noah joined Danish F4 midway through the season, and it went pretty well. He finished as runner-up and won 9 out of 11 races, which is insane when he missed the first 2 rounds of the season. Stromsted did a few rounds of Spanish F4 the following year and had strong performances, finishing the points in most races. 2023 was a tricky year as Noah finished 7th in Spanish F4 but also behind 4 of his teammates. He also finished 9th in F4 UAE with a podium to his name, but Stromsted turned this around last year in 2024 as he competed in Freka and finished 6th in the standings, the best placed rookie. He also absolutely dominated his teammates and achieved 4 podiums and a pole position. As well as that, he also made cameos in Formula Regional Middle East and Formula 3. He is now racing for Trident in F3 in 2025. This has been every single Mercedes Junior team member. Now I am looking to change my channel name to something similar, as I found it's quite difficult to find at the moment as it's not very unique. So if anyone wants to leave a suggestion in the comments, then I'd absolutely love that. So please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.